Agendas and the speaker request cards are located on the tables outside of council chambers. You must fill out a speaker card in order to address the City Council. Please hand in your completed card to the City Clerk before the start of the meeting. If the meeting has already begun, please hand it to any City staff. You may also check the I do not wish to speak option on the card. This allows you to still voice your opinion on an item on the record without having to speak. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The City Clerk will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and state your name for the record. We ask that you speak clearly into the microphone. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes, and there is a timer visible from the podium. When the light changes from green to yellow, your time is coming to an end. When the light turns red, your time is up. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear City Council meetings stream live on Facebook and YouTube, and online at goodyearaz.gov. Thank you for your participation in tonight's meeting.
I'd like to call the regular meeting to order on August 23rd, 2021. Please join Councilmember Kano in the Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, I'm grateful for the opportunity to open this council meeting in prayer. We find ourselves in an ever-changing geopolitical world punctuated by an evolving global pandemic and prolonged drought in the West. These are times that vex our spirits and can cause fear to rise over faith. And yet, Goodyear continues to be a city people choose to live, work, and play. We are growing at a record rate, attracting residents, new business, and development. In Goodyear, we honor our police and fire, and we build healthy and sustainable relationships in our community. In Goodyear, we honor you through prayers of thanksgiving because we know what it's like to have much and what it's like to have lack. We give thanks that our neighboring cities are prospering as well. We join with millions to pray for the end of the COVID and its devastating impact on health and safety. We pray for the continued protection of our public safety and military personnel as they serve and protect. We pray for wisdom for good governance of our city. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Councilman Kano, for that prayer. Very meaningful. Everyone is present, and Councilman Campbell, are you still there?
Yes,
right.
I am.
Thank you again. All right, we have one communication item. Our city, there she is, our city manager, our deputy city manager, Juanette Reed, will be presenting the information about our own about the Parks and Recreation Director Nathan Torres, who was selected as the winner of the 2021 Gabe Zimmerman Award for the Public Service in the Community Builder category.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I am so proud to announce our Parks and Recreation Director, Nathan Torres, was awarded the 2021 Gabe Zimmerman Award for Public Service in the Community Builder, Small City Town category by the Center for the Future of Arizona. The honors were presented during a luncheon on Thursday, July 22nd at the Arizona City County Management Association Summer Conference. The award carries on the legacy of Gabe Zimmerman, the former Director of Community Outreach, to U.S. Representative Gabrielle Giffords, who died January 8, 2011, in the shooting outside a Tucson supermarket. Nathan was recognized for his efforts during the pandemic. As many events and programs were canceled, Nathan recognized that parks and recreation programs were even more essential for our residents' physical and mental health. Under his leadership, the Parks and Recreation team quickly reimagined programs in order to continue providing meaningful experiences for our residents of all ages through virtual platforms. His team became the first public entity to receive the Healthy Verified certification, allowing us to operate summer recreation programs, one of the few options available to parents at that time. Nathan's service to the community has further evidenced in development of Goodyear's new recreation campus. Along with his team, Nathan sought to ensure the campus reflected the needs of the community, conducting robust engagement programs, soliciting feedback from all types of residents. This included specific outreach events with teenagers, seniors, and other interest groups, in addition to the general public. Nathan used a similar process for the design of the city's new library, which will open in the summer of 2022 as part of the Goodyear Civic Square project. Nathan's commitment to city engagement and citizen engagement ensures amenities are truly designed for the community, by the community. And we have a very brief video for you.
Everything that we do is focused on the community. Take this project, the recreation campus. This facility was designed by the community and for the community. Countless hours of outreach and community interaction, engagement to bring this project to fruition. We want to enhance the quality of life for Goodyear residents. We want to provide respite after a long day at work or a long day at school, and there's something for everyone. It is a tremendous honor, not only for myself, but our entire team, to be recognized in the legacy of Gabe Zimmerman, someone who was dedicated to serving his community. We have an opportunity to touch lives daily, and we don't take it lightly. It's our responsibility to deliver the very best programs, services, and facilities for our residents so they can create lifelong memories, and we can leave behind projects and facilities and programs that serve generations to come. Mayor and Council, if I may, thank you. I'm very humbled for this recognition. But please understand, this takes a village. I'm the lucky guy that's receiving the award, but it truly doesn't happen without City Council's, Mayor and City Council setting the vision and the expectations for our community, and then our executive team, and then all of our departments working together to make Goodyear such a great place. So again, I'm just the lucky guy today, but I truly am representing our entire Goodyear team, as well as our residents. Thank
Nathan,
you.
don't go anyplace. Council, any comments, congratulatory or anything? Yes, Councilman Lortano.
Okay, I guess I'll start it up. Great job for you, for your team, for everything you do. This year has been so tough, and hats off for everything you've done to bring people together and to keep that sense of community. From all the stuff you did online, working with the Arts and Culture Committee, working with the gaming for the kids online so they had something to do to stay connected, the youth. And the fact we had a summer program here when a lot of parents had nothing and had nowhere to go for their kids. I mean, I am so proud of this. And then I see you at the rec center and I see that everyone there is so wonderful. It's great to see, you see older people, younger people, people with the strollers walking. And then just this last weekend, I saw people out starting to use the field. So it's just such a good sense. And because of you and your team, I think Goodyear's getting a really good reputation for being known for parks and rec and quality of life. So keep it up. And the only thing I think is we need more because it's just so wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Said anybody else? She said it all, didn't she?
There's a whole lot more to add to that.
I have to say that the one thing I just want to make emphasis on, and we talk about the public and it was for their quality of life, truly, how many times did we go into these different events where he had the public in and they were putting stickers on the board and doing things, so they really had hands-on on it. And now sometimes people say, oh, you just do that and you don't follow. No, we did. And you did an excellent job of that. And I think that's why we have so many people that came the first day and the second day and every day. So congratulations. One more round of applause, please.
You guys, thank you. And Mayor and Council, I'll leave you with one final thought, and that is parks matter.
Thank you. All right, now is the time for citizens who would like to address the city council on any non-agenda item within the jurisdiction of the Goodyear City Council. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All right, does anyone in the audience want to speak? All right, then will the city clerk please read consent agenda item 2 through 7 by title only, please?
Number 2, approval of the minutes. Number 3, adopt ordinance number 2021-1515, amending Goodyear City Code Section 2-1-5, council compensation, providing for correction, severability, and an effective date. Number 4, approve expenditure of funds in the amount of $664,100 for the construction of the intersection improvements at Camelback Road and Saraville Avenue. Number 5, approve the final plat of Estrella Parcel 9.28 and adopt resolution number 2021-2177, approving development agreement for Estrella Parcel 9.28, providing authorization and direction to take actions and execute documents necessary to carry out the intent of the resolution and development agreement and providing for an effective date. Number 6, authorize the acceptance of the dedications of the public utility and sidewalk easements attached hereto from Liberty Property Limited Partnership, a Pennsylvania Limited Partnership, Amazon.com Services LLC, a Delaware Limited Liability Company, and Rados Properties Indian School LLC, a Delaware Limited Liability Company. And 7, approve budget transfers.
Thank you very much. Does anyone on the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? All right, can I have a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda items 2 through 7? Do I hear that motion?
So moved. Second.
Heard a motion from Councilman Hampton and a second from Councilman Stitt. Let's vote on it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose?
Aye.
Thank you, Wally. Oppose? Ayes have it. So we'll go to the public hearing. There are 3 public hearings on the agenda tonight. And the first public hearing item is to consider the Laken Park multifamily annexation. I'm going to open the public hearing, and Alex Lutinsky, our senior planner, is presenting. Alex?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. This is my 3rd presentation about this project before you tonight. I apologize I didn't include this PowerPoint in your packets, but you have seen it before. I just wanted to have it available in case there were any additional questions. The process with which we've outlined before, the authorization to move forward happened in May. The public hearing was held in July, and this is the final action before you tonight. Just as a reminder, the subject property is south of MC 85, west of Cotton Lane, just east of the Citrus Road alignment. To the west is additional County Island. To the east is the Laken Industrial project, which is currently under development. Just south of the subject property, you can see this Buckeye Water Conservation and Drainage District. And then, let's see what else would we have here. Goodyear Crossing Industrial Park, and then further north is El Cedro. This is approximately a 5-acre parcel, but 2.8 acres are not currently annexed into the city. The proposal is to annex those 2.8 acres into the city to be developed concurrently with the abutting adjacent parcels. The Laken Park PAD was approved in 2018 by the council. That included a mix of industrial, commercial, and multifamily uses. The multifamily use was this area in blue that's abutting the site. The applicant does have a request in for a rezone, which should come before you probably next month to rezone this property into that multifamily district. The evaluation criteria, like we talked about last time, staff did find that it was compatible with the city's general plan. It met all the requirements required for the annexation policy process, and then that the city was able to serve this property. Just some images, Google images of the site. It's currently undeveloped. And the recommendation tonight is to adopt the annexation ordinance provided in your packets. That concludes my presentation. The applicant is available if you have any questions, and I am also available for any questions as well. Thank you.
Would the applicant like to speak? All right. I saw you. Thank you. Okay. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All right. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? All right. I'm going to close the public hearing. Will the city clerk please read resolution ordinance number 2021-1514 by title only, please?
Adopt ordinance number 2021-1514, extending and increasing the corporate limits of the City of Goodyear, Maricopa County, State of Arizona, pursuant to the provisions of Title IX, Chapter 4, Article 7, Arizona Revised Statutes, and amendments thereto by annexing approximately 2.8 acres of land generally located west of the southwest corner of MC 85 and Cotton Lane, which is contiguous to and surrounded by the existing city limits of the City of Goodyear, and providing a city zoning designation of agricultural urban, AU, providing directions and an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion second to adopt ordinance 2021-1514? Do I hear that motion?
So moved. Over here.
I'm sorry, who is that? Okay. A motion by Councilman Kano and a second by Councilman Stipp. Open for council discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we're at number 9. The next public hearing item is to consider rezoning approximately 1,319.2 acres along Rainbow Valley Road between Willis Road and Queen Creek Road from the Planned Area Development and Agriculture Urban to the PAD and the amended and restated development agreement for Rainbow Valley. Open the public hearing. Christian Williams, planner, presenting. Christian?
Good evening, Mayor, Lord, and Council. I'm here before you this evening with a request from Shane Ullman to conduct a rezoning on a property within the city. The property is approximately 1,319 acres, and it is located along Rainbow Valley Road between Willis Road East-West alignment, which is halfway between Pecos Road and Germain Road. My East Valley friends told me to call it Germain and not German. And Queen Creek Road on the south. The property is currently zoned PAD under the Rainbow Valley PAD and also AU Agricultural Urban. So that property is this little Tetris-shaped object right there. Zooming in a little closer, you can see that the project is south of the vacant agricultural land, which will be presented to you in a future case called Terrasante. It is west of both vacant state trust land and vacant land that is entitled for Estrella Region 3 or Hidden Valley Ranch, not to be confused with the ranch dressing. It is east of vacant agricultural land within the county, some of which you might see in a future case called Estrella Highlands, and it is north of vacant agricultural land of that aforementioned Hidden Valley Ranch, Estrella Region 3. For context, it is also half a mile south of Montecito and Cantamilla at Estrella. That is right here. There's our new fire station right there. For a little history on the property, in 2018, the portions of the property that are west of Rainbow Valley Road, approximately 999.3 acres, was zoned Rainbow Valley PAD back in 2018. Today, the majority of the case is adding an additional 320 acres that will be located east of Rainbow Valley Road to the project in what is called the first amended planned area development. So again, here's what we approved, or y'all approved back in 2018. Here's that piece again, and we got a little friend being added here on the east side of the road. Today, the proposal before you today is Rainbow Valley First Amendment PAD, AKA Rainbow Valley 320. And a few highlights is it will include single-family lots with lower densities, and we're going to call those LDRs, and some medium-density lots, which are called MDRs. The 3 LDR designated land use categories will be very similar to the city's existing R17, R16, and R14 land uses. In fact, they utilize those as the basis or the underlying zoning for the PAD zoning. The MDR allows for lots similar to the city's existing R2, residential 2 unit, R1A, which are single-family attached or townhouse style units, and R1C, which are basically cluster or alley-loaded products, and the MF12, which is our single-family rental type zoning product. However, if developed as multifamily, it will not permit units to be stacked on top of one another, such as a garden-style apartment. The development will also include community commercial, which is similar to the city's C2 general commercial districts, and there will be areas for public facilities and placeholders for future schools as well as recreation. So this is the land use map here. A couple elements to give the project some streetscape. Any subdivision within Rainbow Valley that has lot widths less than 55 feet will have to select from two of the following items. Those items are clustered driveways, decorative pavers on the driveways, detached sidewalks that have a 5.5 foot wide landscape area that will be HOA maintained between the curb and the sidewalk. They'll have to have alley-loaded homes or an alternative that meets those intents. Homes that are on R1A, which are the single-family attached, or the R1C, those single-family clusters, will have to select from either pavers on the front of the house or detached sidewalks or an alternative that meets a similar intent. The images above are just images that portray some of the concepts that I just spoke about. Now looking at parks and open space, there will be at least 7 smaller neighborhood parks that are between 2 and 5 acres, 2 neighborhood parks that are 5 acres in size or greater, and there will be 4 enhanced neighborhood parks which are 5 acres or more. One of those parks will be located on the east side of Rainbow Valley Road. I'll point that out. That is right here. 2 will be southwest of the intersection of Germain and Rainbow Valley Road. So you can see those 2 right here. And one of those parks will be northwest of Germain and Rainbow Valley Road. You can see that park right there. A minimum of one of the parks on the west side of Rainbow Valley Road will include a community center, aquatic center, splash pad complex, or similar type amenity. And then the one enhanced neighborhood park on the east side of Rainbow Valley Road will include one of those enhanced amenities. If any portion of this community is put into a gated neighborhood or age-restricted community, and that's the park that has that nice enhanced amenity, then they'll need to provide an additional one for the residents that are not within that gated section. So again, everyone has access to that amenity. In addition to the zoning, we ask that you also approve an accompanying development agreement. The current development agreement only encompasses the western 999 acres, and this new agreement amends that original one to add the additional 320 acres. And it is similar to the last agreement and provides provisions for the constructions of infrastructure, such as water, sewer, fire services, parks, roads, and bridges. I can go into more details on that development agreement, but it is very similar to what you approved back in 2018 on the west side of the development in the original Rainbow Valley. Staff has evaluated the impacts of this proposed rezoning on the greater community, and with no major concerns being found, staff recommends an approval of rezoning of the property from Rainbow Valley PAD and agricultural urban to Rainbow Valley First Amended PAD, subject to the stipulations in the staff report, and we also ask for the approval of the development agreement. The developer is here if you have any questions. They don't have a formal presentation if not needed, but we're here for any questions you might have.
Thank you. Nice presentation.
Thank you, Mayor.
Would the applicant like to speak?
Sure.
Yeah, he's coming forth.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. For the record, Shane Alleman with Tiffany and Bosco, 2525 East Camelback Road. I don't have anything to add. Christian, as always, does a very thorough and great job. But I did want to express our gratitude. There were many, many hours spent with many departments, several of those that are here tonight. So we wanted to express our gratitude for all of the time and effort in working together. And that's one of the great things about Goodyear, is that it's a very collaborative process that we really appreciate. And frankly, it makes a better product for Goodyear. And so we're excited to bring this additional 320 acres on top of what has already been approved. I have the developer as well as Hilgard Wilson here tonight. So if there's any questions that you have, we're happy to answer them. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the compliment to the staff. It's so true. So, all right. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. Will the city clerk please read Resolution 2021-2168 by title only?
Adopt resolution number 2021-2168, declaring as public records those certain documents filed with the city clerk entitled Official Supplementary Zoning Map number 20-06A, City of Goodyear, AZ Rezone Case, and legal description Rainbow Valley, and Rainbow Valley First Amended Planned Area Development dated August 2021.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to adopt Resolution 2021-2168? Do I hear that motion?
So moved. Second.
I heard a motion from Councilmember Stiff and a second from Councilman Pizzil. Open for council discussion. No discussion? Oh, yes, Councilman Hampton.
I just had a question on the 303 there. I don't see where it goes. I know it's still recommended. I'm just curious how it how it flows with this property. I know there's been some possible talk of changes, so I was just curious.
Sure. This contemplates that the preferred alignment for the SR 303 cuts through the northeast corner of the property right here. And there will be an underlying zoning under that. So if for some reason the 303 did not go there, the land would have an entitled underlying zoning there.
And about the I-11 as well?
Last I saw, the I-11 goes south of there, but there are some proposals that do show the I-11 and the 303 in the same location.
Okay, yeah. So I just make sure it can, whatever that freeway happens, that it can be built there still if needed. And then I'm just curious how close it will be to the future residents there as well. So
there are provisions so that the 303 will cut through the neighborhood, but there are provisions in the zoning which stipulate buffers and sound walls and things of that nature to mitigate that.
okay. And then I know the wash goes down south of the property there.
Yes.
I mean, is that going to continue being protected or being, I guess, continuous with the other part of the property? So for animals and people and that amenity type use down there, or for flow of water and everything?
Yeah, it's protected, and in our Parks, Recs, and Trails Master Plan, there's provisions for what that should look like. So as new developments come in, we work with them to make sure that that vision's retained.
Okay, yeah, I just couldn't see the remainders of those in this version here, so, okay.
Any other discussion? Molly?
No, I'm fine, Mayor. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's vote on this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. The ayes have it. All right, will the city clerk please read ordinance number 2021-1507 by title only?
Adopt ordinance number 2021-1507, conditionally rezoning approximately 1,319.2 acres generally located along Rainbow Valley Road between the Willis Road alignment and Queen Creek Road, known as Rainbow Valley, amending the zoning map of the city of Goodyear, providing for non-abridgment, correction, severability, and effective date and penalties.
Thank you. Can I have a motion second to adopt ordinance number 2021-1507? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Loretano, a second from Councilman Hampton. Open for council discussion. All right, no discussion. Let's vote on it. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Ayes have it. So will the city clerk please read resolution number 2021-2175 by title only?
Adopt resolution number 2021-2175, approving the amended and restated development agreement for Rainbow Valley, directing the city manager to execute the development agreement for Rainbow Valley, authorizing and directing the city manager or her designee to take all actions and execute all documents necessary to carry out the intent of the resolution and the amended and restated development agreement for Rainbow Valley, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion second to adopt resolution 2021-2175? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, I heard a motion from Councilman Zillo and a second from Councilman Kano. Open for discussion? No discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes
Aye.
have it. Thank you, Councilman Campo. All right, we're down at the number 10. The last public hearing is to consider the Fairways at Palm Valley Assisted Living Facility Use Permit. Open the public hearing. Karen Craver, Principal Planner, speaking. Karen?
Thank you, Mayor. If the council would indulge me before I get into the presentation on the case, I'd like to speak a little bit about what happened with the vote at the Planning Commission
Thank you.
meeting. There's been some confusion as to what happened. There were 5 members of the commission present that night, and a motion to recommend approval was made, and the vote was 3-2. But the P&Z bylaws are such that there needs to be 4 votes for that motion to pass. It needs to be a majority of the body and not the majority of the members at the meeting. So that motion failed. And because another motion wasn't made and acted upon, that their decision is written in as a denial. So, motion to approve, 3 people voted for that, or to recommend approval, 3 people voted for that, but 4 were necessary. So that motion fails, and it's written into the record as a denial per the bylaws. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to that.
Appreciate that.
The site for the Fairways Assisted Living Facility is 6.15 acres at the southwest corner of Virginia Avenue and Litchfield Road, just north of Palm Valley Boulevard. In 2001, this site was rezoned by Suncor from residential to commercial. And as we've mentioned to you in the past on some other vacant properties in the city, that Suncor commercial is, it equates to the city C2 general commercial zoning district. In 2002, the site, there with the big blue star, I'm so proud of my PowerPoint here. In 2002, the site was platted as Tract D of this particular plat for future commercial development. And the only restriction on Tract D as far as commercial development was that there would be no auto sales or repair. So all other C2 commercial uses are allowed on that tract. And just to give everyone an idea of when we're talking about some commercial uses that could be allowed by right, and by that I mean they can go directly to site plan approval process. There is no public process like this use permit process that we're in here tonight. So there could be a hotel on the site, and like all C2 uses, there could be a maximum height of 56 feet. And per traffic analyses, the peak hour trips in morning and afternoon for a hotel would be 35 and 44. There could be a fitness center, and those trips are considerably higher at 175 in the morning and 460 in the afternoon. There could be general office use, and those trips 155 in the morning, 155 in the afternoon. And the neighborhood commercial center, again, 34 trips in the morning, 137 out in the afternoon. The Fairways Assisted Living Facility, for which you're considering a use permit, is proposing a height of 32 feet, 2 stories. And those trips are 29 peak hour in the morning and 38 peak hour in the afternoon. And this is the Fairways conceptual site plan that came in with the use permit request. Again, we're at Virginia and Litchfield. Here's part of the Palm Valley Golf Course here. And then this street that comes from Virginia to 140th is 140th Avenue, and there is single-family residential development over in here, and also it extends westerly from this property line. We have a definition in our zoning ordinance for assisted living facilities, and what it means is supervised care for more than 10 adults who live together for various reasons, that being age, disability, illness, infirmity, or companionship. And at the facility, the meals, recreation activities, and general health care are all provided by that facility. This facility is proposing 132 units, and they average 780 square feet. And they are proposing 2 entrance drives off of Litchfield, and then 2 entrance drives off of 140th. This is the landscape rendering that came in with the use permit application. They have the typical perimeter landscaping. They have 2 central recreation areas here for the residents. Then there's also a gathering and recreation area here along the golf course. And the landscape, or the entrances off of 140th and Litchfield are landscaped, of course. These are the conceptual elevations that came in with the use permit application. The east elevation is what would face Litchfield Road. The west elevation is what would face 140th Avenue. They're similar colors, materials, and architectural style to the surrounding area. The zoning ordinance has 2 evaluation criteria that staff looks at when reviewing a use permit application. And the first is the issuance of that use permit would not be detrimentally or materially detrimental to persons residing or working in the vicinity, to the neighborhood, or to the public welfare. In staff's review, we looked at this as a 2-story residential facility, and it has architectural compatibility with the surrounding area and other development in the area. The second criteria that we looked at is that the use is reasonably compatible with other uses permitted in the surrounding area. And the C2 commercial zoning that was enacted in 2001 that I mentioned earlier, that extended all the way along the west side of Litchfield Boulevard from north of Thomas Road down to Palm Valley Boulevard. So staff found, based on the criteria and our review of the application, that the use permit request meets the criteria. We conducted our standard public outreach prior to the Planning Commission meeting, and that being, we notify all the owners of property within 500 feet of the site. We put a legal ad in the paper, and we also post a sign on the property, and that provides contact information for myself, for the applicant. It tells when hearings are going to be, the P&Z hearing and this council hearing. So following that outreach, we heard from 3 residents who were concerned about a number of items: their home values, their privacy, the traffic in the neighborhood, noise and proximity, or noise from the facility, the density of the facility, and the proximity to their neighborhood park, which is just across the street on the west side of 140th Avenue. We had one resident who was in support of the use permit, but he wanted assurances from the applicant that the kids and the adults in the neighborhood going to that park could do so safely. Again, at the Planning Commission, 7 residents spoke at that meeting. 6 were not in favor, mostly for those reasons I just cited, but that some of the neighbors are here tonight, and I'm sure they're going to speak to you about their specific concerns as well. And then there was also the one person who was in support of the facility, but again had safety concerns that he wanted addressed by the applicant. When that motion was made by a member of the Planning Commission, they did so with 2 additional stipulations proposed. They wanted a stipulation that said those would be emergency access points only on 140th Avenue, and that there would be 15-foot wide landscape buffers on 140th Avenue and adjacent to that one residential lot that I said shared a property line with this site. The plat requires 10 feet, 10-foot wide buffers. But again, that motion failed, and it's written in as a commission recommendation of denial. But I wanted you to know what the steps were that they were proposing at the time. So we have 3 options for your decision tonight. We would suggest that you approve it subject to the 2 stipulations in your staff report. And those are standard stipulations that we put on use permit requests. And they say that you're only approving the use permit, that the project has to come back in through this whole site plan approval process, so all the details can really be analyzed and worked out. Or you could approve it subject to those two stipulations in the staff report and add in those two that the commission wanted regarding emergency access only on 140th and the 15-foot wide landscape buffers. Or you could, of course, follow the decision that resulted at the Planning Commission meeting, and that is to deny the use permit. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. The applicant, Scott Layton, is also here, and he submitted a presentation and may want to make that to you as well.
To make that presentation. Go ahead and come forward, please.
You can move from slide to slide on here.
Sure.
Do you have it up there?
I don't do it.
Okay. You can move from slide to slide here with the arrows, and you can point to stuff with this.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Lord, members of the council, my name is Scott Layton, and I'm with Suntario Companies. I'm not an attorney representing this case. I am actually the principal of Suntario. So what we discussed today, the promises that we make, are actually promises from the top. So I want to, if you'll indulge me for a few minutes, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go through our presentation. I think what's kind of missing is the context of what we do and what we've done. So as I work my way through this, I'll try to make it through as quickly as possible. This is one of our developments that we completed, and it's age-restricted 62 plus, and it's on Northern Avenue at approximately 9th Street. Some of you might remember Bud Brown's barn, and this is what replaced Bud Brown's barn. And it's 6.2 acres, and we spent approximately $49 million developing the property. The current published rent rates are $3,825 a month to $5,700 a month. So this type of property, this is about the target market. We may be a little bit higher in here than what we did on this particular community, but I think it's a good representation of the quality that we do. What you're going to see also is that we have included some slides of another development that we've done, which is actually it's a two-story community, and this one is in Tucson. So the property that we're talking about is 2 stories also. So it's going to have a very similar feel. Obviously, the white color is not something that we would recreate here. So that's kind of a history on what we've done and the type of properties that we build. So really what's before us today is that we have our C2 zoning. We're allowed 50 feet, and we're proposing 32 feet. The community amenities that we're providing, because we're a golf course location and it's a phenomenal site, that was kind of the genesis behind what we created. We wanted to create what was essentially a private country club for our seniors so that they could dine or have cocktails and look out over the water hazard in the 9th green of the golf course. So we are providing golf carts with direct access to the golf course. We're providing golf club storage. We have a pitch and putt, swimming pool, therapeutic spa, dog park, bocce ball, concierge, fitness center, full service menu dining. We have a golf simulator, resident business center, and theater. Our individual homes have 9 to 10 foot ceilings, kitchens with islands, stainless steel appliances, washers and dryers, granite countertops, excuse me, upgraded cabinetry, and are considered really A+ from a assisted living community. The next are the elevations. The ones that Karen showed you were a little distorted, so this, without them being so kind of crunched up, this is what the property looks like. And as she had mentioned, when we designed the property, we were trying to take into consideration the adjacent homes. So here's some pictures that we took that show the architecture and the color of the residents that surround us. Our total investment here is $48,000. The cost per residence is $354, almost $355,000, and that's $451 a square foot. We are catering to a very interesting clientele. Frequently, we break things into baby boomers and Generation X. There's something called the Generation Jones. Generation Jones really takes into consideration people born from 1954 to 1965, which overlaps into the Generation X. Only because and I'm included as one of those, they found that the consuming capabilities and the way they operate are very similar. People that were born in 1945 or 1946, right after the war, have different things that they're looking for. So this is just a little list that shows. So we're looking at 62 plus. We'll be looking at 60 to 65% female, affluent, income and liquid assets of $80,000 per year or more, significant purchasing power, importance of physical and emotional fitness, demand full-size kitchens, yet they dine out regularly, very social, travel frequently. Below that are our rents, $3,500 to $5,600 per month, plus additional care. And recently, over the last few years, Sandra Day O'Connor has actually resided at one of our residences. We are licensed. We are licensed by the Arizona Department of Health Services as an assisted living center, personal care that is assisted living community. The license does not include behavioral health care services such as drug and alcohol rehab, transitional living, halfway house, behavioral, or mental health. Who makes up our team? We've had some feedback from residents that they're wondering, what is our staff going to be like? And I just wanted to illustrate here that we have executive director, marketing, accounting, concierge, personal assistants, drivers, chefs. All of our employees are required to be fingerprinted and background checks performed, obviously, since they're going to be around seniors. And we just want to make sure that we have people who have high moral standards. Currently, their earnings, the least is $13.25 to $44.50 an hour. That's $27.5 to $92.5 plus benefits. Our property's annual operating cost are $5.5 million. One of the concerns people had was about traffic. So what we did is we went through and we calculated exactly how many employees in each department and from what times they would be there. So from 9 to 5, we're anticipating 25 employees. Off-peak, which would be 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., 3 employees. Traffic, we're providing 1.2 parking spaces per unit. We provide transportation for our residents through Uber, Lyft, Lincoln Town Car, shuttle bus. And we also required a traffic study, which basically said that the overall site is a very low trip generation, which I believe Karen's presentation also illustrated. One of the other concerns we heard was about emergency vehicles. Emergency vehicles will only access off Litchfield Drive and use the primary entrance. Standard operating procedure, late night and early morning, lights only, no sirens are required unless there's excessive traffic. One of the other concerns that we wanted to address was lighting. You do have an ordinance in regards to lighting. This would be our Zone 2, which is the median ambient light areas. Fixtures located within 30 feet of a residential property shall not exceed 6 feet in height, and we will be required to do a photometric study. Construction period, we are anticipating our construction off of Litchfield only. All of the work is complete on 140th Avenue in Virginia. That would include the streets, curb, gutter, and sidewalks. And also we will abide by Maricopa County's transitional just generation activities, which is their Rule 310, which makes us monitor, and we have to have wash downs to ensure that we don't have excessive dust. Hours of construction. For those individuals who don't know, there is an ordinance that limits the times that we can work on the property. The reason it's kind of abbreviated there is because it talks about different times of the year, and it's a pretty long ordinance that you have. Some of the concerns that we had and we tried to address early on were line of sight. We have the park, which you can see in this, the residents directly across are approximately 371 feet. The home that is closest to us on the southwest corner, the corner of our building is 101 feet from that. What we're allowed to do by ordinance, and again, this is the aerial showing where the building is in the upper top corner, and the trees, the existing trees are there. Somebody could build 50 feet, and with the setbacks, they would be 332 feet away from the home. What we're proposing is our height, and we are 371 feet. The home that is next to us, the allowable setback on this would be 50 feet or 53 feet as we're illustrating here, and it could be 50 feet high. What we're proposing is 101 feet away from the property line and the two-story height on our particular building. So the stipulations that we would like to request is the driveway, which is circled at number 1. We would either like to remove the driveway in totality, or if it is required by the fire department, that it be gated and a knock box for fire department access only. The other stipulation that we would be amenable to is a a right-out only on the second driveway that's at the top of the screen. There's no reason for our residents to be turning left. That's a residential area. So if we had a stipulation that just required them to turn right, we would be absolutely fine with that. Also, we're prepared to provide 36-inch box trees. Let me go back one. That's the 36-inch box tree on the left upper corner. And it's a willow acacia. It's an evergreen, which means it doesn't drop its leaves. And the gentleman there, if we assume that he's 6 feet tall, you can see that the tree is at least 12 feet tall and doesn't require any time for it to grow. So, and also our last stipulation would be the license by the Arizona Department of Health Services as an assisted living center. So that concludes my presentation. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. Are there any speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor. Roger Brumbaugh.
Sorry, I'm taller. Yes, my name is Roger Brumbaugh, and I'm a resident there in Floriana. We're the fifth family to move into that particular subdivision that is there just west of where this proposed unit is supposed to be going. Well, with that, I kind of have a responsibility because I've been 37 years plus in government myself, 31 years with Phoenix Police, and now work for the state of Arizona. So with all that said, what my wife and I decided to do was write a petition, and we decided to walk the entire neighborhood. Well, when you get someone my size walking a neighborhood, carrying a portfolio, everybody thinks you're selling something or trying to get them to do something. So with that said, 67 homes in our neighborhood, all 67 are single-story homes. We contacted 39 homes, actually opened their doors to talk to us. So I was quite pleased that, voting-wise, that's actually doing pretty good too. Of those 39 homes we contacted, 37 of those homes signed our petitions. Who can I give these to for you guys to, So with that 37 homes signing, we had 50 people sign it. We only had adults sign. So if they had children inside the house, it's just like voting. If you're over 18, they could vote on it too. So it's a very high turnout considering how many homes are there. And if it was any election, it would be a landslide that we do not want this thing going in there. It is not, we moved there purposely because all single-story homes. There is a business that butts up right against to the east of us. It is all one story. There is a two-story building that holds a tax lady and a bank and a title company. It's a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday business only. I lived there long enough to know in 2007, there's actually a tent pitched in that particular lot we're talking about, and a groundbreaking ceremony was there to do a thing. Then the economy tanked on us. It was going to be a two-story building. I do recognize that. It was going to be for salespeople, accountants, that type of stuff. Again, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. When that thing happened, you didn't see me here complaining about it. This is not what we need in our neighborhood at all. Like I said, we have a very high-end homing over there. this is just nothing we need in our neighborhood. I do thank you for your time. I hope that you will listen to other people who are going to come up here and talk also.
Jan Brumbaugh?
Madam Mayor, council members, I'm here tonight to speak out against the development at Fairways of Palm Valley. I respectfully request that you do not approve the development because it's not a proper fit for our community and our neighborhood. Floriana is a quiet, family-oriented, single-story subdivision of semi-custom homes ranging with current values of $450,000 to an excess of $1 million. If the development is built, it will decimate our house values, it will impede our privacy, and it will create traffic that will be a detriment to our residents. The facility is 24/7. That's the type of business it is. There's going to be deliveries for food, medical supplies, office supplies, patients, employees, and really 3 employees for a night shift in a 132-person unit. I don't think so. They'll be coming all hours of the day and night. The facility will not be run simply 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and it's directly across the street from our neighborhood park. Within a 4 square mile area radius, there are 17 current assisted living facilities or caregiving assisted living facilities, and there's also 13 empty commercial lots that this could go on. Please, not on our neighborhood. All of the people in Floriana are asking the same question. Why put a 24/7 assisted living facility in our neighborhood? We don't want it. The most recent edition of the In Focus magazine had articles written by you, Mayor Lord, and you, Councilmember Campbell. Let me refer to these. Mayor Lord, you said, your voice is more important than ever, and we rely on your input to determine how we grow in the future. Councilmember Campbell stated, as Goodyear continues to grow and flourish, I encourage you to pursue opportunities to get involved. Your input, service, participation, they're valued, and your contributions make a difference in the lives of your neighbors and future generations in Goodyear. When our residents identify a need or problem in our community, we step up, we serve, and we work hard to improve the situation no matter how big or small. This commitment to service creates lasting connections, which are vital for building a strong city that we are all proud to call home. It's a great time to be in Goodyear, and you are an important reason why. Were these words just lip service to the residents of Goodyear, or did you actually mean what you said? Here we are, members of Floriana, in attendance in protest to this development with extremely valid reasons why this should not go forward. Are you going to live up to your own words? Are you going to opt for more corporate dollars for the city coffers as our home values and our neighborhood drastically decline? Each one of you, all of you council members, if this development was going within 15 feet of your home, would you vote for it? Would you let it go through? Be truthful, be honest.
Any other cards?
Patrick Garvinchick?
Sorry. Can you pull that map up? That's my house next to this.
Oh, the one next, okay.
Yeah. You know, when Jack Rose was building this, he actually came to my house, knocked on the door and said, hey, I want to be your neighbor. What would make you happy? And you guys all know Jack. I'm part owner of West Valley National Bank right there as well. And he said, we'll put 60 foot of landscape. Have any of you been to the house over there, the development? You guys have been next door? You walk out, you turn right there, there'll be a parking lot, seriously, 15 feet. If you can pull up that map, halfway between my house, I have 2 kids, they're my everything. My daughter is 13, my son is 10. They want to move. I've been in Goodyear, part of Palm Valley since, when I moved here, 1993, part of it, half mile. I moved in this house in 2004, before I even have kids, and they're scared to death. There's like cars are going to be coming at nighttime. We're going to hear horns. They don't even want to go for a walk now. Anyway, is it detrimental? Yeah, I think it is. I grew up in Ohio, family values. Why did I move to Goodyear? I moved here because it reminded me of Ohio. I remember waking up with the sheep, smell the sheep right next door. And I know we're not going to have it. I know we need to grow, but we bought the house knowing it was going to be a 2-story office building, but not 24/7. So I'm worried about my kids. And taking walks at night, we walk around by the bank over there. you'll see one car, maybe. It's the cleaning people. That's what it is. I mean, and here you're gonna have cars. Why you need so many? I mean, that parking, I know we're not supposed to be talking about the development here, but is it detrimental? Yeah, it is. So we're looking at right now, different houses. It's sad, but we're looking at moving because of this. So anyway, I just want to put in my 2 cents. I know my wife, I just wish you guys would have come talk to us. Not once. You took a nice picture of my house, but you didn't knock on the door. I mean, anyway, a little upset. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other cards?
Yes, Mayor. Cheryl Schuster?
My house backs to the park, so I'm on 140th Drive, and so I'll be looking at that, trees or no trees, I'm sure I can still see a lot. There's going to be cars going in and out, and who's to say, they say the people that work there aren't going to be able to use the park. Who's going to police that? There's not going to be any. Am I going to have to get a little badge and sit on the park bench and say you can't come in because you're not a resident? I don't think so. You know, it's going to decrease our values of our homes. And I really do oppose of this building being built. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Deborah Johansson?
Hi. My home also backs to the park, and I did request the line of sight. I think you guys saw it. They put it up. But there is a direct line of sight right into, I mean, the back of our homes are basically glass. The walls are like 3/4 wall, and then, you know, the see-through iron or whatever. So there would be a direct line of sight into the house, into the yard. And I feel like my privacy is really being taken away. I've lived there for 15 years, and I love our neighborhood. I agree with everything that's been said, and so I really hope that you oppose this. Thank you.
Any other?
No, Mayor.
Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion second to approve the use permit allowing for development of an assisted living facility that meets the definition for assisted living facility in the Goodyear zoning ordinance and on approximately 6.15 acres at the southwest corner of Litchfield Road and West Virginia Avenue that is included within the portion of the property designated as C-2 in the Palm Valley Phase 2 PAD, subject to stipulations. Do I hear that motion?
So moved. Second.
Heard a motion from Councilman Stiff and a second from Councilman Pizzillo. All right, Council, open for discussion. Who wants to start? Oh, Wally? Hello, Wally?
Yes.
I forgot.
Yes, hello.
I'm so sad. Okay, so what's your vote?
Well, we're going to discuss it, I believe, and you know,
Okay, all right.
we're discussing
I'm sorry.
it.
Yes, sorry about, I had a moment of.
That's okay.
Anyway, all right.
That's
you're-
okay.
So
if you don't mind,
I'm
I'll
gonna,
start the
I'm gonna
discussion,
start,
Mayor.
I'm gonna start with you on your discussion since you're on the phone.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. This is the same situation that we faced in Pebble Creek when Robeson Reserve came in. We had a lot that was vacant at the entrance to Pebble Creek that could be used for a Jiffy Lube or a liquor store or a beauty shop. And instead, Mr. Robeson bought it and built a beautiful Robeson Reserve. And it is an assisted living facility. And it has served the neighborhood well. And I personally think it has enhanced our neighborhood because our property values have not gone down. And it is a 2-story, I believe. Is it a 2 or 3-story, Mayor?
Yes, it's 3-story.
3 stories. So I would like to listen to the discussion from all of the members of our council and see what they think.
Thank you, Wally. Next, Councilman Loretano.
I have a couple of questions, mostly for staff. The first question is, for that parcel, you listed a hotel could go there. How high could that hotel be?
Mayor, if I may?
Yes, you
How many
may.
stories? Because it said feet, but it helps me with stories.
It could be, at least 4 feet if they're
4 stories.
smaller rooms. Oh, yes, 4 stories, sorry.
Tiny hotel.
Yeah, 4 stories.
Okay.
4 stories.
And would we have any control over that? So let's say we say no to this and, Holiday Inn wants to come build a hotel. Do we have any control on the height then at that point?
No, they are allowed by the C2 zoning to go up to 56 feet in height. It would go through a site plan approval process, but if they wanted to go that high, they have the right to do that.
And then it would have the other setbacks, normal setbacks, so that wouldn't change really. Now, the other question I did have, we do have several of those. We talked about Robeson Reserve, and I believe there's another one that faces the park right off of Indian School, which is very similar. Estrella, yeah. Have we had problems with those in that park? Have we had any problems or anything going on with that? That you know, or?
I do not know of them, but we certainly have the Parks and Recreation Director and the Development Services Director who oversees code enforcement here tonight.
I guess if there's been any problems, because I haven't heard of any specific.
We have something coming forward.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Kristen.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, if I may.
You may.
Code enforcement or code compliance rather, is part of Development Services Department, so I can answer that question on our behalf. We have not had any issues with residents going into parks that have been reported to code.
Okay. Those were just some of my questions. If I think of any others, people talk with those. I just had those questions, so thank you.
Councilman Hampton?
So I had a question. So is this also independent care, or is it only assisted living? And do you plan on adding memory care, locked dementia?
The building is being designed to accommodate 3 levels of care: independent living, assisted living, and memory care. The entire building will be licensed.
Yeah.
There is a different license that would be required with memory care.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is a portion of our building, as a matter of fact, on the drawing, you can see where it intersects with the 371 feet to our building. You can see a little area that says memory care within our building. That particular section of the building will be built to code with 2-hour separation. So in the event that there's an agent in place, and at some point in time, if we decided that we wanted to add a memory care component, we could easily do that. But currently, it's just going to be an assisted living community. And like I had mentioned before, we have full kitchens in each of them.
Like a second quick follow-up, will there be any rehab facilities?
I'm sorry?
Rehab? Any rehab?
No. That's a completely different license. Nor do we have skilled nursing. So skilled nursing and rehab would be a different type of license and a different type of construction even for the building.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've always wanted this place to be more commercial, like it is up north there. The eye doctor, the banks, and things like that. So I, in my mind, envision that would always be there. So I'm very familiar with these type of facilities. I think it looks really nice. I just don't know if I love it in this particular location. But yeah, so those are some of my questions I have. Thank you.
Next, Laura? Councilman Kano?
Thank you. Some of my questions were answered about whether or not there would be skilled nursing and whether or not people would be allowed to live independently, which it sounds like they can. I do have a parent who lives in a similar type of facility here in Goodyear. I know that the majority of the people who live there are widows, and that it's important as part of the aging continuum to provide safe housing. These are also very high end, and looking at your demographics is certainly similar to what we have like at the Robeson Reserve type of environment. I I think the concern about closing that one access point on the western edge to emergency only or closing it, I think is a valid issue to minimize any traffic going there certainly next to that residence. Right turn only makes sense. That way you can go to the Village Inn and get pie. You still could do that. So I think when you look at the demographics of people who live here, I think it's important to provide those who want an alternative living arrangement. And I will say that it is quiet as quiet can be at Robeson Reserve. And I'm in and out at all their time. Sometimes fire trucks are there, but there's never lights and sirens coming in. And I think that probably would beat a hotel, would beat an apartment complex in terms of quality neighbors and quietness.
Next, Councilman Stipp.
You know, this is, actually, I've got a couple of questions that I want to address. One is and this may be more for engineering, so I'm going to have you get ready. Can we even put a driveway off of Virginia? Isn't that too close to, on that one that you had up there, Mr. Layton, that was, all right. I don't know if we've got a distance issue that we could that a driveway could be put off of Virginia if.
Thank you for the question, Council Member Stepp and Mayor and Council. The distance is really short, so a driveway would not be practical there.
Right, which was my question. And the reason that I asked that is one of the stipulations that came out of planning and zoning was no access off of 140th, which I'm in support of protecting that section. However, having right in and right only out of Litchfield Road is not practical as well, nor can we put a driveway off of Virginia. So I think I'm going to say the southernmost driveway off of 140th, which is right where it says 101 feet, not having that makes sense if this project were to go through. The 15-foot buffer that P&Z had requested, where was that supposed to, is that supposed to be on that southwestern side?
See if I can bring it up here.
The 15-foot buffer that they were talking about, yeah, that shortest property line that's adjacent to the gentleman's home.
So it'd be adding an additional 15 feet there?
Right now, it shows 10 feet.
Okay.
On the conceptual plan, so it would be an additional 5 foot.
So an additional 5. Is that something that, and if you could lean into the mic, that would be helpful, I think, for Councilmember Campbell.
I wanted to show you what is already off of 140th. We've got 7 access points, and of those 7, 6 of them are commercial, just north of our location. Now, I'm showing the green entrance that we're proposing, and I'm absolutely fine with doing away with the one that is closest to the residence. I'd even mark the road in red there, indicating that, like I had said earlier, our residents really wouldn't have any need unless they were visiting family to make a left there. So right out is fine with us. In the next slide, it's a 10-foot setback that was created here. So the commercial use that is there has approximately a 10-foot setback. In addition, they've backed their parking canopies up, which are lighted canopies, to that. If we expand on our particular property, from a 10-foot setback along that wall to 15, suddenly that becomes usable space, which means that even though we're going to have trees in it, when we have 10 feet, it's probably not going to be used by a resident or anything. There's no purpose for it. We're in a parking lot. Once we expand that to 15, there is a chance that somebody might recognize that space as being more open space. So we would prefer that it were kept at 10 feet, if that's an available option to us.
Right, and And you're talking about where you've got that red circle number 3.
Right.
Of increasing the size of the trees there. Is that correct?
Yeah, and one of the comments from one of the residents was, that they didn't want a small twig that would take 10 years to grow. So with a 36-inch box tree, with the height that it has, they will be, very screening to the property.
Okay, so, and I see the fire chief is, if this was a starting block, if I could keep it the Olympic theme, he'd be in it. I think the challenge that we're probably going to have is if we try to eliminate that, I would not support eliminating it because I think we need it for fire access. That we leave that to an emergency access only, gated only for the fire department. So you, and not make it a usable way in and out. I think ultimately the challenge that we have with this particular parcel is it's the devil you know or the devil you don't know. And as Councilmember Loretano pointed out, we could have a 4, and I would argue you could probably get 5 stories out of 56 feet. You could have a hotel there tomorrow. The person who owns the Hampton Inn and the Residence Inn could say, I want my 3rd hotel to go here, and we would have no say in that whatsoever. And that's the challenge with this particular commercial location is, so do we take a gamble on the future of 5 stories, or do we go with a residential I mean, we don't know. And I'm looking at the residents. I mean, that's the real challenge here. Because conceivably they could put a 4-story office building or a commercial location that you don't want either. And for a multifamily site, this is as quiet as we could absolutely get. This is too small for single-story rental multifamily. It is just big enough for a multi-story multifamily, and I guarantee you do not want that on this parcel. So so I sit here and I'm trying to be really sympathetic to the residents that came here tonight, and I know it takes a lot of courage to do that, and I'm trying to put myself in your shoes and say, what would I rather have? You'd rather have nothing, because that, I think, preserves views or whatever, and there's some certainty with nothing being there. So short of that, what's the real answer? And that's what the council has to decide. I'm supportive of this because it is low impact and low key. I know there's a concern about property value, and I would have shared that same property value before I got on council, but sitting here today, the property values in this city have never gone down, ever. And I think this will only be used to build it. So I'm going to be the first to say I'm in support of this project, simply because I'm going to take the devil that I know versus the devil that I don't.
Thank you. Next, Vice Mayor? Oh, I'm sorry. Which one of you? Okay, Councilman Loretano.
I think Councilmember Stipp kind of nailed it on the head, and that's what I was kind of waiting to kind of hear a little bit more. Office isn't going to come here, and we've been told this by a lot of different people, and we have these little parcels that are just sitting out there. And then what's happened between the Great Recession, when I guess something was going to go there and then it went away, and now with the COVID, office is being reimagined. You're not going to see those community office. And I think Councilmember Stipp brought up a good point. You could get a 5-story glass office building there that the lights are on all night inside, so we have no control over that. Or a 5-story hotel. With the price of these rents, at $5,000, $4,000 to $5,000 a month around there, that's the price of a $700,000 house at 2.5%, 3% interest right now. So you're not going to get people who don't have money. And I've been to Ropes and Reserve. We've been there. We've taken tours. I have an older family member, and I looked into some of these places, and they're like going to the Phoenician, literally. Some of these are just very, very well done, and this looks like it's very well done too. I would hate to see something go up there that it's just not going to stay blank, and if something comes, I would assume it would be a hotel, just from seeing what the trends seem to be. That seems to be what's coming. So looking at what's here, and I like the idea of keeping that as fire access and keeping that extra buffer, and I'm okay with a right in, right out to that area, because again, unless someone really does have family members or something, not going to be a problem. So I think it's a well-done project. I know it doesn't have everything that everybody wants, but I think it is a well-done project.
Vice Mayor?
So this is C2, right? So we can't have an apartment complex here, is that correct?
No, not with the current zone.
Okay.
It would need to be
And
rezoned.
so the things that you mentioned were, I guess, worst case scenarios would be four or
hotel,
5-story hotel, commercial
fitness center.
office, a gym, hopefully office space. Okay, that's what I was clarifying. I don't know. I mean, I like all the stipulations that they put in and everything. I think it would be high end. I mean, I used to be a board member for an independent care facility, but I still would like there to be, I know, it's got economic development, but do we know, is there appetite for more office space here? Or is that something that we're not seeing?
Mayor, if I may.
You may.
Councilman Hampton, the only inquiries staff has received regarding future development of this property besides this request before you tonight is for multifamily development.
So that'd be
Standard
rezoned,
multifamily development, yes.
rezoned to
Through a
multifamily.
rezoning process.
That's too bad. Like I said, and I'll reiterate it. I mean, I always thought there'd be just continuation of more office space from Thomas down to there, but okay. That was my comments. So thank you.
Councilman Stiff? I mean, Pizzello? I did it, didn't I?
Fire chief, what were you gonna address?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Paul Louisi, Fire Chief. Just to confirm, we do need the 2 points of access that would be on the west side of that property. So I know there was a lot of conversation going back and forth about one or limiting one, but we would absolutely need 2 points of access to that west side of that property.
For safety.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, question. You know where the Palm Valley Boulevard, where that new housing development there is going? What they did is they put a gate,
Yes.
a nice wrought iron gate, which
Yep.
allowed access in there. But it's only used for emergencies. Would that work?
Yeah, an automated gate that we would have access to for emergency use would work for us. So either had an Opticom light on it would be probably the best for us. That's the most consistent for us.
But it would only be used for emergencies, that's it.
Yes.
Let me ask the engineer. Where's the engineer? Is right behind there. Can that right turn out only back there? Can that exit be designed so there's no way somebody's going to try to shortcut a left down there? What I mean is, can there be something in there? I know we always complain it's Safeway because the way they have those parking lots, they have it so making a right, it's not very easy because the way they cut those corners. There's a way of designing that in a way so that does not tempt anybody to try to make a left out of there.
You're absolutely right, Council Member. There are ways to design it, and we will leave it to the engineer of the developer to design it, and we will review to make sure that it's only a right turn.
Okay.
But to follow up on what Chief Louisi just said, if they need both of those driveways, you cannot restrict that to a right only in and out. They need the access to get the trucks in.
Even with the other one?
Yeah, if the chief says they need both, then you've got to be able to get, yeah, so.
Oh, he's coming back to the microphone.
Question for him, fire guy.
And I don't think it's our place to engineer this, to be honest with you, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. That if it is a right turn only, it makes it difficult for us to come in turning left into it. So we would need full access to
To
those-
both.
But you gate the other one.
Vice Mayor?
So these places are, I mean, would that be the main entrance for all of your emergencies?
No, really, it would be dependent upon where the call is. And as you can see on the most southern border of that property, there is no throughput from Litchfield, conceivably back to 140th. So you would have to, if the call is to the rear of that structure, the captain would decide which entrance that they would take into the property.
Okay, I'm just thinking, a lot of these, not to blanket or say they're going to be like this, but there's usually quite a bit of ambulance use in some of these locations.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious which entrance that they would be coming in.
It is, again, dependent upon the call and where the location of the call is. And it is difficult to, I guess, anticipate or forecast the number of calls
Yeah.
for these, for these places.
Those
So-
uses, yeah.
If I may, the elevators are also a driving factor here. We're required to have one that will accommodate a stretcher. So that is going to be our primary one by our primary entrance. So what we are expecting is in the event that we have an emergency, that they will come in off of Litchfield. That is exactly where we have our large elevator. And in the evening, all of our doors are locked with the exception of the front door, and there's a concierge sitting there. So fire department would want access there, and our medical staff would have responded to that particular unit where there was an incident, and they would be waiting for the medics to show them exactly where we're going.
Any other? All right, I guess I'm the last. Everybody done?
Wally.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Councilman Stipp.
No, Wally.
Wally.
Oh, Wally?
Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Well, I am under the impression that this is an assisted living facility, and just because it says it's assisted living facility doesn't mean that we have to have 100% help. And the activities that it's going to offer, I would think, would be geared toward active seniors who later in life have decided they don't want to have to take care of a large home, or perhaps they've lost a spouse and they would like to live among people so that there's activities for them. And quite honestly, the concern about having a lot of ambulances and fire trucks at the facility, I can't speak for Robeson Reserve, but I don't think that they have that many any more than I have coming into my neighborhood. I think this is, I don't want a hotel there, and I don't want multifamily there. And quite frankly, I think this assisted living, because it is going to be high-end and it's going to cater to those who are affluent and who want a nice, safe, comfortable, lovely place to live, I think it's going to really be welcomed by those people that want this higher end, at least from what I have been told from folks who are looking. They want high-end living quarters, and they're used to being able to go and do things, and they and we need to provide for those that are getting up in years. So I'm in favor of this project.
Thank you, Wally. May I talk now? First of all, I want to thank him for coming for us, and I know this is just a really hot topic, and I know what it is to have ownership, and I sold real estate, sold homes to people, and whenever there is a space around your home, it's not developed yet, and I know people in Goodyear have said, Mira, I don't want to hear this, I don't want to hear this, but you can never trust that it's going to stay what you want or you're going to get what you want. It just is a fact. I feel badly because if I had been your agent, I would have told you that, okay? And so when you talk about us trying to help you, the one that came up and said, no, we help, we do everything we can within our means But there are other things like the Constitution of the United States, where if you own a piece of property, you're allowed to develop that within the guidelines of the city. Second of all, I live in a home like that. I live in Robeson Reserve. And so when you talk about the confusion and the talk and the people running around, it's not that way at all. It's very controlled. Inside is so many activities that people spend most of their time there. The dining is in there for people to just leave their room and go in there. We have food trucks coming in all the time. Well, not all the time, but you don't hear them. You know what I hear? I hear the people speeding on Pebble Creek Parkway, just like you hear the people speeding on Litchfield. So the sound of the cars and the speeding is just as bad as you're not going to find that at that home. You're going to find they walk down the halls, there's nobody in there. They're all in the room. That was my biggest adjustments, like, where are the people? And it just doesn't happen that way. These type of housing is so precise, and everything is on a schedule, and everything has to be completed, and they have help in there that take care of things right away. You'll never see the outside looking bad. It'll always be pristine. And it is really needed. We have a lot of elderly people. And even one that, it's really interesting now because, one of the mates might be 50 or 60, and the other ones are going to be 70 or 80. So we have a combination. But it's a quality of life. I have to tell you, it's a quality of life. It took me time to get adjusted. We have Pebble Creek houses right behind us, right where the cars park, and they're right there. And I've attended every meeting of the complaints that people had. And all kinds of complaints. All you can see on one of them is, because I go out in the middle, about that much of their window on the top of it. You can't see into the homes. There's hardly any noise in that where the cars park. It's just amazing. So I can understand it's your home. You bought it for a reason. You bought it where it is. Your expectations were not going in this direction. So I truly feel badly for you. But at this point, making decision-making, we have to make the best decision-making along with all the way the city does in zoning and thing. I know you're shaking your head, but it is what it is. And I think this council has been really good at the questions they've asked tonight. I don't think there's anything else left. And so I could see you coming back again when some other developer comes in and is going to put, because that's Litchfield Road. It's a commercial road. It has apartments and the golf course, and it's always going to draw that. So, I can understand, and I'm right with the council. I'm going to vote for this. Okay, Councilman Stipp?
Mayor, I'd like to amend my original motion if Councilmember Pizzillo is okay with amending the original motion as well. The motion, as you read it, I'm not sure included the stipulations that were presented by staff. So I want to make sure that those two stipulations originally proposed by staff are in that original motion and add two additional stipulations.
Good, I'm going to have you do that.
So the two that, and Karen, can you tell us what those two stipulations were?
Sure. The two that were recommended by staff and were in the staff report were that this approval of the use permit doesn't constitute the approval of the site plan, that everything site plan related needs to come back through a site plan process. The second one was that no signage that is shown on any of these conceptual plans is approved. That sign permit requests have to come back through a separate review and approval process with staff. Then if we could switch back to the staff presentation on the last slide, I have the two steps that were presented by the Planning and Zoning Commission written out.
Those are not the ones I'm going to use, but go ahead and switch over. So the first stipulation would be that we allow, or that the driveway, the southernmost driveway off of 140th be restricted to emergency access only, accessible only by the fire department or the police department, you know, however they get through it. And then second stipulation is that we increase the tree size on the south side of the building in that 10-foot area to the 36-inch box trees as suggested. Those are the two additional stipulations that I'd like to amend the original motion to include. Those two plus the two that are included in the staff report. And if Councilmember Pizzillo agrees with that and seconds that, then that's what we can vote on.
I'll second it.
Okay. So we got four
No,
stipulations.
Yes, we've got the four. They were just written out up there. I was just going to suggest we say that 15-foot buffer include the 36-inch box willow location. That's all.
I'm not saying 15 feet.
Oh,
The current,
I'm sorry.
the current is 10 feet.
All right, we
I'm
got
sorry,
it, because
To
the
the
lawyer's going like
applicant's,
this.
to the applicant's point, if we increase that to 15 feet, that'll turn into a shade area to hang out in. And I'm not sure that the adjacent property owners want that turned into a picnic area. So I'm saying leave it at 10. Access off of 140th is limited to, on the southernmost driveway is limited to emergency access only. And 36-inch box trees in that 10-foot buffer to the south.
Are we ready to vote on this?
Just real quick, if I can, Mayor. When the design guidelines come back before staff, you will make sure that whatever the outside facade and things are flows with the neighborhood design.
Yes, sir, we will. Our city design guidelines require that.
But you will make sure that it flows with the area. Because every once in a while, and I want to give an example, but sometimes it doesn't always work that way. So I want to make sure that when that design guideline comes back, it does not look like something that was just plugged there. It looks like it flows with the area.
Well, very similar to the one I live in. The sign is very sophisticated, it sets back on the home.
That's all I'm asking. You kind of get, yeah.
You know, they're not going to put something out that's going to be cheap, that's going to not actually demonstrate what it is, what the building is and inside. So are we all set? And the motion's all right? So we're going to vote on this. Wally, are you still there? Wally?
Yes, Mayor, I'm here.
Okay, we're up.
Yes, I'm here, Mayor.
All right, we're up. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm gonna say nay.
Pardon me?
I'll say nay.
Oh, that's fine. So we have 6 yay and 1 no. All right. All right, we're at the end of the meeting, council. So, does the council have any comments, accommodation, or reports? Council, it's your time to tell me what you want to tell me. Is there anything you have to report, things you've been at, places you? Okay. Bill, you're looking questionable. Okay, does the city manager have anything to report?
I do not, just welcome back from break. Good to see everyone.
Okay, all right. Well, the next meeting will be a work session beginning at 5 p.m. on August 30th, 2021, followed by a CFD regular meeting. No further business. This meeting is adjourned.